Hello everyone, I think we are live, and it's not very often I do these videos anymore, but we're going straight into a live reaction of the Spurs games that I've just watched, and United have lost 3-0. So I've had a lot of discussion going on a United Discord channel from another fan channel, and no, it's not the United stand, it is a different one, and a lot of opinions been thrown around whether this is the players' fault, the manager's fault, or whose fault it is. And I want to personally put this on Erik Ten Hag. We have got the fan base going again about the players not playing for the manager, the players not putting the effort in, the players this, the players that, and the players the other, as always. And to some extent, I totally agree with that. They're not putting the effort in. There's something fundamentally wrong within that dressing room again for I don't know how many times now, but it has to be said. But on the reason why I'm putting this on Erik Ten Hag is there isn't an excuse there anymore for me that this is not his squad. He got away with it last year with injuries, saying he hadn't got rid of a lot of the deadwood. And I know you'll all come back and start saying, but Rashford, Bruno, this, that and the other, Maguire's still there, Lindelof's still there. Maguire and Lindelof are not playing. Bruno and Rashford are being picked by Erik Ten Hag week in, week out and underperforming. He doesn't have to play those players. He's now brought in his 3 years, in full transfers and loans, over 20 players. Forget the price tag, 600 million quid's worth of players. Doesn't matter if it's $1 billion, doesn't matter if it's 200 million. He still brought in 20 players to carve a squad that's supposed to be playing for him. And you can all sit here and say Bruno and Rashford are still here, they're the problem, this, that and the other. Who is continuously playing them week in, week out through poor form? It's one person, Erik Ten Hag. He has got on the bench Eriksen, Ahmad, Mount, even Anthony that he spent 85 million quid on, fell out with Sancho. All right, he didn't buy Sancho, but these are all players, or players there, maybe apart from Eriksen. I can't remember if you brought Eriksen. I think he did. That he's brought and he's still not using them because he still plays Fernandes and Rashford. The rest of the team are players he's brought in, bar I think Dalot. Dalot, he's getting a lot of stick. He's playing left back. He's not a left back. And yes, he wasn't good today. But he's playing out of position because we didn't buy a left back. And who is that really on? And some people say Ineos, and to some extent you can probably agree because they haven't addressed the problem. But should Erik Ten Hag not be barking at them to say, I've played a whole season last year without a left back, I desperately need a left back? I mean, somebody please tell me how you can excuse Ten Hag from this. I don't get it. And I don't really know what else to say. I mean, there's people, like I'm saying, like they want the focus to be on the players. And I get it. I get it. But the players are the players he has bought. And I don't want to keep repeating myself over and over and again. This is his squad now. It is not a half Ollie squad. It's the players on that pitch are either youngsters he's brought through, players he's given contracts to in Rashford and Bruno, or players that he has bought. They should all be playing for him. There's no excuse for they're not his players, they're not his squad. The same players are here because he's got umpteen chance and players on the bench and in and around the first team or even in the youth team, that if he thinks someone like Rashford is not up to playing, the tactics Erik ten Hag wants to play, then he should be dropping him. And we'll get the same old stuff probably about Rashford's got this and that and the other in his contract. He's got to play this, that and the other amount of games. I mean, if he has, he has. If he hasn't, he hasn't. I mean, what's the contract going to be that he plays 30 games a season? What's the problem if we break it? He leaves? What, he gets an extra 10 grand bonus? I don't know. Surely it's worth, if Rashford does have this stupid thing, which I don't think he does, by the way, but people say that he does. If he's performing this badly and he's got that in his contract, surely you take the hit. He probably gets 10 grand bonus for scoring a goal. 10 grand for him not fulfilling his contracted 30 games a season or something. What difference does it make? None. And I mean, we have been absolutely destroyed out there today. 62% possession. I've got the stats up here. 62% possession Spurs had at Old Trafford. 88% pass accuracy. I mean, I know we're down to 10 men. I'll talk about that in a minute. 24 shots Spurs had. And I know we've got 10 men, but that's going back to stats of last year. Second game in a row where a defender's picked the ball up on his own half, run through our entire squad and squared it and they've scored. I thought we bought Agate to stop stuff like that. Oh, surprise, surprise. As I said in my previous videos about buying Agate, he will not stop that. It's the way that the team is set up. And I'm in another chat and that with my mates or whoever. And I was talking about Bruno because I think when it was 1-0 and he was still on the pitch, I think I mentioned 4 or 5 times where he's running ahead of Xerxes, running after defenders, chasing them down, and one pass goes beyond him, and then he turns round and he starts jogging back and pointing at people to tell other people to pick people up from the space he's vacated. Then he goes and gets sent off, which I think it is a bit of a harsh sending off. I think if the ref gives a yellow, VAR won't give that as a red. He slips and he sticks his foot out and he catches the guy on the knee. And I'm afraid in this day and age of football, whether there's intent there or not, when you kick someone that high and a leg around the knee area, you're getting sent off. So you cannot say and sit here and say he didn't deserve to be sent off. You can say it's harsh. You can say whatever. But again, what did he do in that game up to that point as Man United captain to say he should have stayed on the pitch anyway? Absolutely nothing. And I'm fully behind Ineos and their philosophy in what they're doing. But I think now the 2 biggest issues I have that Ineos have done, number 1 was keeping Erik ten Hag at the start of the season. And you'll all know that's my opinion and why. I've got another video about that out there. Go and watch the reasons why. And nothing has changed. We're now 6 games into the Premier League. 2 wins. I think we've played 8 games in total, including Barnsley. So I think we've played 8 and won 3 in all competitions. It's just not good enough. It's his worst start to a Premier League season in his tenure. And the second one is giving Bruno Fernandes a bumper contract at 30 years old when he hasn't performed. And I don't want to go on about Bruno again because I'm sick of going over the same thing all the time that I've been saying over and over and over and over and over again. That Bruno is not good for that team. He's captain again today, petulant, sent off, non-existent for the time he's on the pitch. The sloppiness at the start of the game and the passing is woeful. Martinez has been shocking as well. Another fan favourite. We need to get away from fan favouritism because Martinez has been awful the start of this season. He was woeful again today for the first half an hour. giving the ball away left, right and centre. He's diving in again on the halfway line and missing tackles and he's out the game. It all needs to be called out. But I'm putting this performance solely down to Erik ten Hag and not the players, because the squad is his. And why are they not playing for him? Why are these players not playing for Erik ten Hag and he's just bought them all? I don't know what to say about it apart from that. Spurs were good. I expected it. But again, we've got overhyped. We're beating a couple of crap teams by a load of goals. We've gone away and drawn against Palace and 20, who are bang average teams. Thought, okay, yeah, we're not losing. It's all right. And we've come up against someone again who's a good side and been spanked. So the two good sides that we've played this year have battered us, and every average side has drawn with us or still beaten us. And the only teams we can actually get a result against are people who are going to get relegated or teams from lower leagues than us. It doesn't matter what you think, whether it's the players or the manager. Last year wasn't good enough, coming 8th and out of the Champions League before Christmas. And this start to this Premier League season is nothing but a total and utter disaster. And it has to change now before it's too late. What are we going to do? Wait until Christmas when we've lost another 2 games in the Europa League and we're 12th in the league now. If Bournemouth win tomorrow night, we're 13th. After 6 games. I'm afraid, if my personal opinion is, I would sack him tonight. Harsh, you tell me what you think in the comments. I think he will get the next 2 games, Porto and Villa, to rescue himself. And we all know what this team and Erik ten Hag are like. When the thinnest of thin ice is there, they pull a result out the bag and he gets another load of games to go through this cycle of draw, loss, win, loss, loss, draw. He's going to get sacked, win, win. Oh, everyone thinks there's some progression again. When are we going to realise that the progression is not coming? We have to act now to stop us not getting in the Champions League. We have to win the Europa League or we have to be in the top 4. There's no other option, else we're going to fall further and further behind City, Liverpool, Arsenal, even Newcastle, Chelsea. They're all going to be in the Champions League buying the best players, and we're going to be out of the Champions League again, where you're going to get even more money for being in the Champions League now under the new structure. We cannot not be in the Champions League, and if we continue with Erik ten Hag as manager, playing these formations, these tactics, with these substitutions, blind favouritism for players out of form, we are not getting in the Champions League. And we will be finishing 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th for the next 4 or 5 seasons. Because when, in all honesty, do you think we're going to be better than City, Arsenal, Chelsea? We might be able to get to Spurs, Newcastle's level. But we're not getting to them threes level without Champions League. So you cannot get the best players in, and you don't have the money to spend to get them in, even if you could. So things have to change now, in my opinion. And I know I'm completely and utterly Erik ten Hag out, and I have been for ages, but I don't actually dislike Ten Hag. I actually like the guy. I think he's obviously got a ridiculously tough job. And I think the problem is he's out of his depth. Some of the things he says, some of the things he does are just beyond his capability, I think, of such a high-profile club. Things like coming out last week saying how he wants to be director of football at 20. Some of his ridiculous comments, how he doesn't take responsibility for anything himself. It's always an excuse. The excuses have run out. And this is just a quick video. That is all I'm going to talk about today. Tuesday, I might have a car video for you again if I have something to talk about. But I'm going to end the live stream there because I don't want to go on too much. But like, favourite and subscribe. Tell me if you think Ten Hag should get more time or not, please, in the comments. Just give me your opinion, because I just cannot see how we can survive past this next international break at the longest. Peace.